Hey everybody. In today's video, we're going to be talking about where you and any sexually reproducing organism gets its genetic material. Where do you get your alleles from? And you already know the basics of this, you really do. However, there's going to be a whole lot of new vocab. There will be probably in this lesson about 14 vocabulary words, some of which you've never seen before. So let's start with one that you do know. So you originate from two sex cells. One is a sperm, the other is an ovum or egg. Both of these are called sex cells or gametes. Those are words you need to know. So a sperm and an ovum combined leads to, a new organism. Inside the sperm and the ovum, each one of them has a nucleus. And as you already know, each nucleus has within it chromosomes. Now, I've drawn a simplified version of a sperm nucleus with just 4 chromosomes in it, and we'll say the same thing for the ovum. Now, in your cells do not have just 4 chromosomes. Now, your cells might have, in a sperm, 23, and we'll get to that eventually. But I want to just show you that you can number these chromosomes, and I'm only going to give you 4 per, just because I don't want to draw 23, and you don't want me to draw 23 here. So they are numbered in order from largest to smallest. So the largest one is always going to be chromosome number 1, and you just number until you get to the shortest one. So here's the basics ideas of this. Each one of these sperm or eggs has one full set of chromosomes. You'll see that there's not 2 long ones or 2 short ones in each cell. It's just one. And if you have one set of chromosomes, you are called a haploid cell. And in this case, the haploid set of chromosomes is 4 chromosomes. For us, again, that's 23 would be the haploid or single set of chromosomes. Now, in your cells, you are diploid. Most of your cells, your body cells, are diploid, but we'll get to that eventually. All right, let's look at any one of these chromosomes. As you already know, each chromosome has within it many, many recipes for making proteins in most cases. These recipes are called genes, and your average human chromosome has like 1,000 genes on it. That's on average. Now, I've drawn a bunch of dots representing that on this chromosome too. You have maybe 10. But that's not exactly perfect, right? This is an undercount. But I just want you to see visually that on any given chromosome, you have lots of different genes. I'm going to mark a few. I'm going to mark one gene on chromosome 1, the largest chromosome, and one gene on chromosome 2. And keep in mind that the chromosome 1 on the sperm and the chromosome 1 for the ovum, the large chromosome for each one, isn't going to be identical, right? The chromosome 1 you got from your dad and the chromosome you got one from your mom are not the same. They might have some slight differences. So let's look at that one gene in green. So on chromosome number 1, let's say that the gene is involved in pigmentation. And we're just going to use a couple simple visual examples. The gene on chromosome 4, let's say it's involved in hair growth. And there are going to be lots of other genes. These are the 2 we're going to focus on. Okay, so keep in mind there's lots of different pigmentation varieties that might result, lots of different hair growth varieties, and these different varieties, these different genetic varieties, are called alleles. The way that we typically designate these in like a Living Earth class, a 9th grade class, is to use single letters like this. You've seen this before. Now, I just want you to know this is a gross oversimplification of this, and you will get a video later that goes into the details of this. Needless to say, there's always more than 2 versions of a gene. It's not just capital B and little b. There's like B17 and B74 and B130. Secondly, it's not as if there's always one allele that wins over the other one. Capital B beats little b. That's not always true. And thirdly, the capital letter, the dominant allele, as you've heard before, isn't always better or even more common. Putting that aside, you'll get an entire video, an entire lesson on that. We'll go over that another time. All right. I'm going to put in some alleles on these chromosomes. So the sperm chromosome 1, let's say it has a little b allele, and the egg one has a capital B allele. Both of the chromosome 4s have little h alleles. And what we're going to do now is combine the sperm and egg to make a new individual, a new offspring. This process, as you know, is called fertilization. It's going to generate a fertilized egg. A word you may not have heard of before for fertilized egg is a zygote. And the key thing to remember for the zygote is it's taking both nuclei and combining them together. So we don't just have one set of chromosomes anymore. We have two complete sets of chromosomes. Two of the largest chromosomes, two of the chromosome 2s, all the way down to the two chromosome 4s, or in you, two of the chromosome 23s. So this is two sets of chromosomes, so it's not a haploid cell anymore. Now it's a diploid cell with 8 chromosomes. Okay, now because you're diploid and you have two of each chromosome, it's important to remember that these two of each chromosomes are not the same. And so we have a word to designate that. These two different versions of the same chromosome are homologs or homologous chromosomes. So you have two homologous chromosome 1s, two homologous, similar but not identical chromosome 2s, etc. Okay. We're going to move on. Now, remember, these chromosomes did have specific genes and different versions of those genes called alleles on them, and I'm just going to copy them over. So if you remember, Dad's version of chromosome 1 had a little b, and Mom's version of chromosome 1 that she passed on had a big B. And I'll put in the little h's as well. This leads us to our next term, which is genotype. Genotypes are the actual combinations of alleles that you have inherited. So what are the actual alleles? Now, this is not the same as your phenotype or your physical result. This is not, the genotype is not just capital B, or it is not black, or it is not hairless. It is the actual combination of alleles. So big B, little b in this case. The combination of alleles for the hair growth gene, in this case, is two little h's. Now, there's another set of terms you need to know. If the two alleles are the same or different, there's a word to designate that. If they are different alleles, you have two different alleles, you are heterozygous for that gene. Capital B, little b, two different alleles, heterozygous. If you have two of the same allele, you're homozygous for that particular gene. Now, the last term for this whole lesson, I believe, is phenotype, which is the physical result. Now, that phenotype might mean higher likelihood of colon cancer. That phenotype mean color blindness. That phenotype might mean higher likelihood of eczema. In this case, we're just saying that the pigmentation might give you a brown phenotype, whatever that might be. Maybe it's a black phenotype. Maybe it's a blue phenotype. Whatever it is, it's whatever the capital B allele produces in the organism. In this case, little h, if those two alleles don't work and you can't do hair growth, maybe your phenotype, your physical result, is hairless. These aren't the only possible phenotypes, but these are the phenotypes for this individual. The capital B, little b genotype gives you brownness, and the little h genotype gives you a hairless phenotype. There are other possibilities, which I'm going to list here, but that's not this individual. That's not this individual. Hopefully that gives you an overview of all the ways that you can inherit genes from your parents, and all the vocab that will lead you into the rest of the unit. Thanks. Bye.